How much does it truly cost to beat the AI on expert difficulty in Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown? Kind of want to put a little bit of a tester out here. Recently, I purchased this vehicle, the Porsche 911 991R, and attempted to beat the AI on expert difficulty with no tuning, no upgrades, on the live weekly event here on the Ibiza map. Now, I failed miserably at that one. I finished last, and I stood no chance of beating the AI with a stock 911. Now, whether that's down to poor driving on my behalf or the AI just being too OP in that specific race, it gives me a good test at this point to go in, challenge myself and figure out how much it actually costs to beat the AI. I think it's going to be a bit of a good test to actually figure out where the AI is balanced for this specific race and actually figure out how much money do we actually need to spend. Now, I don't think this is going to apply to every race, as I do take a wrong turn. I don't think it's going to apply to every race, but this race specifically, it is going to apply to it. It's going to be a good test to find out how much money we actually have to spend upgrading the car to beat the AI at its best level. What the hell happened there? Is that just a huge curb that we've just dropped down? We totally fell off the side of the road just there. I'm going to have to assume that's a curb that we've gotten. Yeah, we do. We've got a... Okay, so curbs do kind of work on the Ibiza map. Totally off topic, guys. I do apologise. I want to figure out what's actually went on here. The Porsche is completely decked into the ground. So we do have curbs. They look very, very strange for the way it's set up. Nonetheless, I want to kind of focus in on chasing perfection, a 3-lap circuit race. It's done, it's going to be dry, and it is in the 911. And for the test, like I mentioned, I want to keep us on the expert level difficulty in a completely stock 911. So having the standard road tyres and no tune applied to the vehicle. I want to see where we can place. Previously, the time it wasn't the best that I did set with a 2:42. I didn't concentrate as much as I should have done. It was a live com to see what this race had. Now, to kick us off, we've obviously got a stock 911 with no tune and standard road tyres. We're starting right at the back of the grid, something that I'm going to hopefully keep in line with every race that I'm going to do in today's video. So off the line, we already know we're kind of down in power. The AI are slightly tuned above where we were. We dive bomb it into turn 1 and we're sitting here in 5th place. But as we do start to come into some of the more powerful sections here, well, the AI are really going to trump us off here. Into the hairpin, we absolutely dive bomb it into the side of Miguel, who was in 2nd. So we essentially scam, or I essentially scam, 3rd place. But as we start to come downhill, or as I start to come downhill, well, traction isn't our friend, and 1st and 2nd place we can see has got a lot more traction than I have, and get out of that turn a lot better. Coming down into this left-hander, I've kind of got this down to an art now, dropping down the gears rather than using the brakes as we come downhill into the left-hander, try to clip that left apex, and we push forward onto lap number 2. So we've started off lap number 2, where we essentially want to be, dive bombing it into corners. I'm trying to steal time wherever I can, getting the launch off that left-hander much better than Miguel did, as he gives us a little bit of a love tap coming around that left-hander, up into the hairpin once again. I can already see him getting dive bombed by 2 AI, and they do tap us once again into the left-hander, but we come out of that one relatively unscathed, and I can now start to focus in on, you know, tidying up the race here and starting to chase down Pablo, taking that right-hander a little bit too tightly there, stopping the car from rolling. I had to back out of the corner. Downhill once again, when I see that lamppost on the left-hand side, I want to start dropping down the gears, trying to stay off the brakes, maybe a little bit of handbrake to get the back end of the 911 turned around. And as we start to pull away from the AI, starting off lap number 3, well, all focus here has to be on being clean, being tidy, and trying to rule or try to pull Pablo back into us. We've got around about a 2.5 second deficit, but we're taking some of these corners as clean as I want to be. But the one thing I'm taking from this is, yes, we're down in power, but more crucially, I'm down on grip. This back end wants to step around a bit, wants to slide. Even into some of these corners, it doesn't behave the way I want it to. This specific part of the track, I feel like it's suffering with understeer, then it has a snap of oversteer. And I don't have a good balance with this car, but this comes back to the fact that I've not tuned the car the way I want it to. So going into the next race, I can maybe upgrade the car slightly. We can see finishing off race number 1, well, we finished in 2nd place. and I quite like that. I don't want to beat the AI as easy as we have. Fortunately, I do manage to set a 2 minute, it wasn't a 2 minute 8, sorry. The time I did manage to set was a 2 minute 30. So already I've managed to achieve a 12-second leap on my previous time set. But that's down to concentrating on the race itself. What I'm going to do now is head on into the workshop and slightly upgrade the car. Now instantly in the race I felt like I was suffering with grip. So I want to upgrade the tyres first of all. Looking at the semi-slicks 18,000 or the slicks at 24,000, I know slicks is going to be the way to go, but I want to do this on a budget, so I'm going to stick on those 18,000 credit semi-slicks that we have there, and then maybe try and steal some performance. Now the gearbox was very lazy in the Porsche. I like the short gearbox option for these closed circuit races. 28,500 for the short gearbox I do think is the way to go forward with that race. Again, trying to do this on a budget. So 28,500 invested into a short gearbox. Then I want a little bit more performance, but I don't want to abuse it. So again, trying to do this on a budget, I'm going to have a look at the performance exhaust at 15,000 credits, giving us just a little bit more horsepower, around about 11 horsepower or so. Yeah, it would be good to put the sport one on, but I'm going to stick with performance, trying to do this on as much a budget as I possibly can without tuning the car. Then lastly, the performance air intake, once again around about 22,500 credits. Is that going to be enough? Is that all we need to beat the AI? Performance intake, exhaust, short gearbox, semi-slick tyres. Is that all we really need to do to upgrade the 911 to truly beat the AI? I would have liked the slicks, but we're going to come back into the race once again, keeping it on expert AI difficulty, this time out with the semi-slick tyres, still using the stock tune, not adapting the tune whatsoever. Can those minor upgrades be enough for us actually to beat the AI? Fortunately, once again here we can see we're starting off at the back of the grid. So the same challenge as we had with race 1, starting off at the back of the grid. Launching off the line we can see it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot faster, more importantly that gearbox managing to get through the gears a lot quicker. I did feel it was very lazy. We have deployed the exact same tactic into turn number 1, dive bombing it. Ironically we're back up against Pablo this time. I thought it was Miguel, apologies. It was Miguel in the first race. So deploying the same tactic, dive bombing into turn 1, and we subsequently get dive bombed into that hairpin just there. You know, karma's a bitch sometimes. We did it, they done it, it's fine. But more importantly, what I now want to focus in on, yes, we've rectified the lazy gear changes. Have we now got better grip? Arguably, yes. Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise. We've now got semi-slick tyres fitted to the 911. But can it handle some of these high-speed traction areas better? Having more grip coming downhill there, we can see I was a bit lazy coming into the left-hander, but we're much closer than what we were on the first race. Right on the back end of Pablo. Unfortunately, he parks on the apex of the corner. We do smash up the back of him. But coming out of the corner, our traction, yeah, it's 10 times better, and we can actually pull away from Pablo at that point. Now all focus has to be on Emmy. Let's get around this hairpin first of all. I can already see a dive bomb coming there from Pablo. We'll negotiate around that one. But the focus now is on Emmy. I want to start reeling Emmy in with some upgrades, intake, exhaust, gearbox, having a short gearbox and the semi-slick tyres. Losing traction still around that right-hander is very unfortunate. Again, those semi-slicks not quite grabbing as much as I would want them to on that zone, but this one here grabbing perfectly. And now we're all over the back of Emmy. We're much closer coming in to lap number 3, just 0.6 of a second behind Emmy. We know we've got to keep it clean, we've got to keep it tidy to actually get a race win with a minimum spend. Around about 84,000 credits this would be for the semi-slicks, the short gearbox, the performance intake and exhaust. Dive bombing it into the hairpin there. I thought I was going to be able to steal that one nicely, cutting up the inside of Emmy. Unfortunately never managed to get the traction coming out of the hairpin, and Emmy has stretched the head just a little bit. The one thing that is notable here is the performance is largely similar between Emmy and myself. I've only got one chance left here, half a second on the table. Can I dive up the inside? Can I take Emmy? We can, and unfortunately we do end up crossing the line in second place, once again behind Emmy's time. But more importantly, what we have managed to do is knock another 5 seconds off of our time. Our previous 2 minute 30, we've managed to get that down to 2 minutes 25 with the minor upgrades that we have done. So for once again, no tune was applied. That was minor upgrades of intake, engine, intake and exhaust, gearbox, and semi-slick tyres. This time out, I do think those slick tyres are the way to go. So keeping the car as it was, no other changes are required across the gearbox, engine, anything else. We're going to keep all the budget, we're going to keep the budget as low as we can, minimising the amount of upgrades we do to the Porsche along the way, and try to win this race on a budget. So this time out with the slick tyres, we're going to keep things exactly the same. Expert AI over to the car setup, the slick tyres applied, and we still keep it on the stock tune. Can we improve, and can we finally win this race? Once again, or last time, we're going to start at the back of the grid. This has stayed the same across the board, so we're on quite an even playing field here. This is obviously a problem in the game with the AI, or the PR, sorry. The lower the PR, the further the grid you start back. In my opinion, it should be the other way around. The lower PR should start at the front. But keeping the same tactic we have done across all three races now, dive bombing it into turn 1, coming out worst out of the 3 races in this race here. We actually come uphill here in 4th place. But we're going to send it on the inside here of Ennis. They usually dive bomb us there, so yeah, we're going to dive bomb them this time out. Coming out of the hairpin up the inside of Chris here, we do have the traction with those slick tyres now fitted. Are we tender coming round the double right-handers here? We certainly are. Tons of traction, and we can now focus in on April, this time out, who is in first place, just half a second ahead of us as we head into lap number 2. We're nice around that left-hander. We're all over the back of April as we cross that start-finish line, just 0.2 of a second in it. This feels like the way to go. Yes, I may have wasted 18,000 on those semi-slicks, but that's the test I wanted to do here. I already knew the slicks were going to be the way forward. Ultimate traction from them. Can we have a little switch? Yes, we can. Switch back down the inside of April. Try and keep it nice and clean. I'm going to say April turned into me on that one, but we have managed to get first place on lap 2. We're miles ahead of where we were previously. Maybe coming into the right-handers here a little bit fast. We can see I had to back off coming around it, but it's all good. We have managed to stretch ahead 1.3 seconds. Back down the gearbox here. Try and clip that apex. We're a bit wide coming into the last left-hander, but we'll push forward across the start-finish line. We've got a gap to April at this point. An investment well made. Roughly, I would say around about 90,000 credits we would be here for the slick tyres, the performance intake, the performance exhaust, and that short gearbox. All of the upgrades here are around about 90,000. Yes, wasting around about 18,000 on the semi-slick tyres, but it's always good to have them in our arsenal for potential races going forward. Up to almost 3 seconds gap now. This is definitely the way to go. Much different feel from the 911. Maybe being a bit more fortunate in the race itself, dive bombing in places we previously wouldn't have dive bombed, but as it is, minor upgrades of around about 90,000 is all that was needed to beat the AI in this 911 race. Now when we start to look at what kind of times we have set, well, we've actually achieved something else. Although I've not yet finished this week's live weekly event, only got 84 points on the board from where I was previously positioned, so you guys can see I didn't actually have that many attempts at that race. But what has changed is the time set. Previous time was a 2:25.33, this time out a 2:20.12, another 5 seconds shaved off our time. Now from the original time set to now, what's that, 22 seconds, 22 and a half seconds shaved off with some upgrades on the car. Yes, it's not the fastest time on the board, but it is a 780 RP time I have set. Now it's going to be interesting to come down the board here and see if anybody else has done something similar. Minor upgrades just to beat the AI, and as we can see all through this board, nearly everybody's over 1000 RP, so everybody's throwing money at the car to get it to where it needs to be. Now interestingly, we're the highest rated 780 RP vehicle on the board. Interestingly, 4 places below us here is Destroyer with 802 RP. So we've managed to beat Destroyer. That's one for the bragging rights. We've managed to beat Destroyer with something fairly similar. Minor upgrades of the car and an enjoyable race. Now, it's been a topic recently that people are wanting stock car racing in the game. Not something that could be misinterpreted for something else, but racing your car in as close to stock format as possible. It is actually possible to do it in this game. I've kind of just proven it there. Initially spending, what was it, 84,000 I believe on performance intake, performance exhaust, the short gearbox and semi-slick tyres. Yes, we made a mistake with the semi-slick tyres, should have just spent another 6,000, and overall should have only spent 90,000 credits to upgrade this car to where it needed to be to actually win the race. So when we come back into the lobby, I would say the lobby here on Ibiza, just to quickly go over those once again. Performance intake, no change to ignition, no change to internals, performance exhaust, and of course we did not apply a turbo to the Porsche. As for brakes, left aim stock, suspension left it stock. The aforementioned short gearbox and no transmission upgrades apply to this, no changes to chassis, no changes to aero. The slick and semi-slick tyres were purchased, but slicks are the way to go, and no changes to that ECU. Yes, this is a fantastic car. I held off for a long time buying the 911R because in the early days I associated it with people who were cheating in the game. That's for another topic, that's not for today's video. My focus on, well, oh, we've got a red delivery contract. My focus was, can you beat the AI on a budget? And the answer for me is, well, yes, 90,000 that cost me to beat them. A little Brucey bonus for you guys, we're going to actually cover off a red delivery mission. Not going to argue with it, there's a minute left, so we're only just going to catch this one, a minute 42, and it's the AC427. This is actually one of my favoured delivery missions. It's very short, and it pays you 200,000 credits. That's what I want, and what I don't want is the radio to be on. I need to turn it off because YouTube doesn't want music played. What I can do though is a 200,000 credit delivery mission, a little bonus there on top of the 911 Racing. I like this one because it's short, it's on the Ibiza map, the distance is small, the payout is huge, and the time to make 200,000 credits is so short. If you see these missions on the map, guys, do them, especially on the Ibiza map. The cost for the delivery is just, it's phenomenal. You're not going to get a better return than that in my opinion. I hate coming into these roundabouts. As you can see, the way this Mustang is acting, brake checking us as we try to come off of it. A Porsche Cayenne, I guarantee, is going to pull out in front of us, then puts the foot to the floor, makes it difficult for us. But the 427 AC mission here is fantastic for payouts. You will have relatively cleaner run, as you're going to have, only a couple of bits of traffic to kind of overcome. The Mustang always pulls out in that very first roundabout, so take care with it. There will be an Abarth that will pull out ahead of us. We're ahead of it this time out, but that junction right there, there is always a 500 Abarth that will pull out in front of us. I do think that Ford F-150 spawns there quite a lot as well, so it's just about taking care. Do we pull in here? No, we don't pull in here. That is for the 812 Superfast, so I almost hit that lamppost as well, jeez. Pulled in a bit early for that delivery. That's for the 812 Superfast. The AC Cobra is further up the road here, sorry, the AC427 to be correct, is further up the road here. And as I said, it's a very quick delivery mission, guys. Pick these ones up when they fall for you. They're not spawning as often as I would like them to. As we do turn off, we will lose 1% here. Don't know why, it's like another invisible wall. But another very easy delivery mission, guys. Always pick up those 200,000 bonuses, and in fact it's actually more than 200,000. Driving assist bonus 35, first win of the day 10,000, walking away with almost 250,000 credits. So yeah, back to where we were. Can you beat the AI on a budget? You absolutely can. Yes, this will not apply for every race, but I thought it was important to cover it off today. Let me know if you guys are doing something similar. Are you racing stock cars? Are you doing minor upgrades to see where you are against the expert AI? I do hope you have enjoyed today's video. As always, guys, please do smash that like button and consider subscribing, and more importantly, stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.